Call to order the City Council regular meeting for the City of Wyoming, Minnesota, August 16th, 2022. Let the record reflect, we do have a quorum. Member Onstead, Schilling, Yeager, and Mayor Iverson are present. Member Luger is not present today. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Member Schilling, Army veteran.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first on the agenda is open forum. It's an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items that are on or are not on the current agenda. Items requiring council action may be deferred to staff or boards and commissions for research and future council agendas if appropriate. You will be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask that you conduct yourself in a professional, courteous manner and refrain from the use of profanity. Failure to abide by this policy may result in the loss of your privilege to speak. Commissioner Matska, you have something you'd like to say for open forum?
Yes, just briefly. Wanted to just give you a quick update on the county going on. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Hello, everyone. And basically, the last meeting, a lot of standard work. One thing that the county's looking at is in the unincorporated areas of the county to require title insurance versus a title opinion. Historically, in Minnesota, it's been a title opinion state. And so I think we need to continue that. At least, I think one member of the board was thinking maybe we should switch to title insurance. The challenge I have is that if the county's going to do a plat, you need to know exactly whose rights you're affecting. And in a title policy, you insure over those rights, but you don't really know what they are necessarily. And so for that reason, I think the board may look at that and hopefully, I think, should keep with the title opinion standard. Frontier Communication is attempting to get a border-to-border grant for broadband internet, improved broadband service, and of course, a lot of us have Frontier Communication, so we are supporting their application. And of course, Wyoming Elementary is getting a SHIP grant, which is a health grant that they're getting, and we're going to back that as well. That's going to be issued to them shortly, I think, at the next meeting. So do you have anything that the county needs to work on?
Okay, let's start with Member Yeager. Do you have any questions?
Well, I'm interested what will they use the SHIP grant for?
I can quickly look and see. Hang on. I think I brought my packet here.
You can email it to me.
I will email, okay, I'll email it to you, okay. I'll look it up, that would save the time.
Can you send it to all council,
I
please?
sure will.
Or send it, actually, you'll need to send it to Rob,
I'll
right?
send it to Rob, yes.
And so you can, yep.
Sure,
thank
okay.
you.
I will send that to Rob.
Member Schilling?
I have no questions.
Member
Thank you.
Onstead?
I have no questions.
I just have one.
Yes.
We talked a few months ago about ARPA and possibly the county using some of the ARPA funds for city grants and to kind of help strictly for infrastructure. Has the county done anything more on that? Is there a yes, no vote on that, or what is the update?
There isn't any plan to do that.
Okay, have you brought that up though? Did you bring it to council or to the committee, the commissioners, and talk about that? I'm just.
Yeah, we're not, you guys have your own ARPA funds and we're not requesting yours. And the ARPA fund that the county has, we have talked about, what to use it for, and the feeling is, at least now, that that's not likely to happen. Certainly, the city could benefit from the use of our ARPA funds. We're going to dedicate a lot of millions of dollars towards broadband, and that's something that we're going to be partnering with you. So that money will be spent potentially in Wyoming if you are going to be interested in participating.
Yeah, we don't need that a whole lot, broadband here, but I know that we had talked about, we've had other ARPA grants for different businesses and stuff, and so I'm on that marketing and how to get more businesses.
Specifically, what would it be used for? I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, we talked about just grants for cities in the county to use for infrastructure. So in our case, we would possibly use it for getting water over to the other side of the freeway for that development that we have going in. So, but, you know, we're always trying to get more businesses here to Wyoming.
Yeah.
So being able to have some infrastructure grants with those ARPA funds would actually help every single person in the community lowering their taxes.
Sure. We are limited by how we spend it.
Mhm.
So, and I'm not familiar with whether that would be something that could be spent on it.
Okay.
We have not spent all the money, Madam Mayor, as you may know, and so it's certainly something that I certainly, you know, will, you know, continue to, you know, look at that. I think that, you know, I'd sure like to see water across the freeway. I think that's a great thing, but how much are you thinking that you would want for that?
Well, I don't have an idea on that. I just know that the return on investment for the county and the ARPA funds to be able to have grants go into infrastructures for cities and townships, the return on investment for that 15 and 20 years down the road will triple whatever the county has given to the cities or the townships. So broadband is great. I think there's a lot of things out there for broadband, but specifically infrastructure to help our county bring in more businesses to help bring down the taxes would be phenomenal. So Rob, maybe you could work with Commissioner Motska on.
I think we'd want a little bit, it might be helpful to kind of know like what numbers you're talking about. You know, I don't know if, you know, millions of dollars I think has already basically been spoken for.
Yeah.
But if it was something that could be like a seed money, maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Rob, could you?
I can reach out to you, certainly,
Yeah.
on about that project, sure.
Yeah, and I think that would be something that, we're gonna continue to talk, and I'll certainly continue to, see if there's support. I think that it might be helpful if, the other commissioners might have something similar, that might be something that we could work with.
I'm more
it's
than
gonna
happy.
need to be.
Yeah, I can come to a one of your meetings and definitely be able to bring that up and give examples of ROI on just what that would mean into our county and for our residents.
We've been talking about that normally in work sessions.
Okay.
So at the next one, I'll try to just ring you or give you an email,
Yeah.
Mayor, and see if you would want to. You could also appear by video too, we do have that link.
Yeah.
So I think it would be helpful just to check, and that way you can know that the board is, you know, I don't know how they're gonna approach that, but, you know, it's something they might do.
Yeah, and I can
So-
bring some of our other mayors too, if they have time. So
Well,
we
okay.
could talk about that. So good, thank
Okay,
you.
well, those funds are still, haven't been spent.
Yeah.
I think the commissioners kind of have in their minds how they're gonna spend all of it.
Yeah,
So,
well, let's
And-
hope we can get some grants for our
and
cities.
all of those, the needs are important. For example, some of them relate to some infrastructure in the county that the county is responsible for, that, that is helpful, will be helpful also for taxes as well.
Mhm.
One thing we can't do is, and you didn't say this, but we can't spend money on basically levy, what would be a levy expense.
Yeah.
That, I'm sure that you probably have the same requirements. So this idea that, it would have to be something that would be an over and above what we normally would do.
Sure.
I think a project like you're suggesting, Madam Mayor, seems appropriate. I'll look forward to talking with you. Let's see what we can do, maybe talking with, our administration.
Certainly, okay, sounds
Okay,
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a big ask,
Yeah.
but it's an important ask. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No,
Okay, thank
all
you.
right,
I'll
Thank
thank
you.
you.
plan to stay for the whole meeting. I would like to be at Lent too, but I think I'll just stay here.
Okay,
And then, go Lent next month.
all right, sounds good, thank you. All right, number 1 on the agenda, consider approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council for August 3rd, 2022. If there are no questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Member Onstad and a second by Member Schilling.
Correct.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Consent agenda items, under the consent agenda will be adopted with one motion. However, council members may request additional items to be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion and action if they choose. On the consent agenda is number 2, 3, and 4. Do we have anybody who wishes to pull an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Next on the agenda is acknowledgement receipts of reports of officer, boards, commissions, and department heads. Number 5, 6, 7, and 8. Is there anyone who wishes to pull an item from 5, 6, 7, or 8? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Number 9, to consider resolution 22-0872, a resolution receiving quotes and awarding a contract to Olson Sewer Service for the Helium Court and Faraday Avenue Storm Sewer Improvement in the amount of $96,813.02.
Madam Mayor,
Oh, all right.
members
Mr.
of council,
Erickson.
we might tag team this. Mr. Almgeld may assist with a number of items here. But we really looked at a couple of areas where we had some stormwater issues that have come up. One is at Helium Court as part of the Liberty Ponds development. There's been some frost heaving, major speed bump in the roadway. We need to make some corrections to that, both curb replacement, some storm sewer modifications, a little deeper storm sewer. And so we've looked at requesting quotes for that on numerous occasions, and I'll provide a little background. This is something that we've looked into actually for quite a while. Along with the other item, we've gotten quotes to do this work, and they were not satisfactory. And so we went out and reached out to an even larger group of individuals, provided a little bit of flexibility, combined the projects into one project to try to get a little better prices. And combined with both projects, we're well under $50,000 savings from what we had previously. So we are now pleased with the results. Bidding climate is just generally different than what we've seen in the past, so it's not exactly what we want or what we are accustomed to seeing, but it is what we're dealing with today. And so we do need to address these. The Helium Court project, Mr. Almjed, I'm not sure if you want to provide a little bit more context to what we're doing there, or if that kind of summarized everything that you wanted
Yeah,
to.
the difference is we'll be adding drain tile underneath the culverts so that it doesn't heave again. And the water is what the frost pushes it up. One of the major differences.
And then the other is actually part of our the funding for that project would actually come from the Stormwater CIP. And then the other project is the Faraday Avenue project. This is actually part of our 2021 street improvement project. And I'm not sure if you recall, but we've had a lot of neighborhood meetings, worked with Public Works, and we've inquired about drainage. We saw a lot of areas, just like our 2015 project, a lot of areas that didn't seem to drain very well based on our topographic survey. Ditches are filled in, culverts are not functioning, but they all have said there aren't any issues, right? And so we were aware of some issues, and we addressed those, particularly on 267th and Fenwick. Is that, I forget, yeah. And that road, that portion we did add storm sewer to. We noticed this spring that there was quite a bit of standing water this year that we're not anticipating in one of the lower areas. And so we have storm sewer in pretty close proximity. We want to make sure that we address that. We have a brand new project. We have the ability to do it and still stay within our budget, and we want to move forward with that at this time. And so that would just be it would be a different contractor, but it would be funded through our CIP, our project funds for that 2021 street improvement project. So staff is recommending moving forward with Olson Sewer Service in the amount of $96,813.02 for both projects.
Mr. Erickson, so I may have lost something here. That amount is for both projects?
That is for both projects, yeah. So I don't actually recall the split. They're roughly 40. They're both in the
Okay.
They're both in the 40s. So 40 from the street CIP, another mid 40s for the mid to upper 40s, I think, for the other
Okay.
street improvement project.
And just out of curiosity, how much do you think this is more than what it would be a year ago? Just based on, we're seeing increased prices, so I'm just kind of curious if you might have,
I'd say 15%, maybe 15%.
so 15% increase.
Material availability, yeah, we're just generally seeing prices a little bit higher than what we're accustomed to seeing, and that's
Okay.
Not just this community, but it's every community we're working in.
And when can they start this?
We will give them the go-ahead immediately.
Sweet.
They're gonna need to order materials, and
Yeah,
a lot of those are 6 to 8 weeks out, or some of those, and so we're gonna be waiting and trying to get this completed yet this fall.
okay, sounds great. Questions from council, member Onstad?
The price is quite a bit of savings for doing both projects at the same time. Could you explain why it's like that? Just a,
You know, I think just the, the mobilization, the economies of scale, when you have multiple, you're coming out to the community, a little bit larger project generally yields a little bit better pricing, so we combine them. I don't know if it's, I think that's a part of it. I think certainly reaching out to other contractors, a larger pool. We reached out to those contractors and they didn't submit the first time. I'm not sure if it just fits their schedule a little bit better as well. Now, Olson is one that we did request quotes from the first time around, and we didn't get a quote. This second time around, we did, and so they were thankful that maybe it fits their schedule a little bit better. So I think there's a number of different factors that may be playing into that, but generally speaking, when you do have a larger project, you generally get a little bit better unit prices.
thank you.
All
Yep.
right, member Schilling?
I don't actually have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Member Luger? I'm sorry, member Yeager? Let me take her off
Okay.
my list.
Yeah, I was gonna say, scroll that off.
Sorry.
The road project part of it, did that just pop up this spring? Why wasn't it dealt with later on? Earlier, rather.
So why wasn't it included in the original project?
Yeah.
So we have a lot of areas that are very similar to this that we did not include, and they did not present the same issues that are here. But when we did our survey and we did our walkthrough and we've looked at everything, we've met with property owners, and we had them at public information meetings asking, please let us know if you're seeing any drainage issues, things like that. That didn't rise to the level where we had anybody bring it up, and we didn't see it. We've talked to property owners, and so we've, like many other areas that were not included in the project, that we have really sandy soils, water infiltrates. We're just not seeing those issues. This spring, during our rapid snow melt event, we had a lot of standing water on the roadway, and Public Works was out with pumps and pumping water and trying to get it off the roadway. And so I don't know if it's a seasonal thing that the conditions this year presented that, but we have the ability to fix that permanently, right? In case it may not be an every year thing, but it might be every other year, every 5 years, or whatever it may be. We just want to make sure that while we're here, we have the ability to correct it, knowing that it's a pretty significant issue when we do have those conditions that occur.
So we still have money left over from the bonds and everything we took out? That's correct?
The 21 wasn't, we paid for, or excuse me, yes, for the 21, we still are under budget on that project, correct? So,
Okay,
yep.
cool. That's good. And as for the 21 project, is there any plans to finish the restoration on Glen Oak?
Yeah, so I just got back in town, but I did receive an email from our contractor with his plan to do that, and I know that we've had some drought conditions this year. I know we've gotten some rain here recently, but they have still not met our standards for restoration, and they know that. And so they are going to be addressing that. They'll be reseeding a number of areas. They'll be spraying weeds in a number of areas as well. And so we will make sure that they follow through. We're not gonna bring that forward to council to accept the improvements and final the contract and make final payment until that has been addressed. And so they will be still responsible to do that. I've had a request at the end of last week to set up a meeting to discuss the plans to complete that by our contractor, and we'll be doing that here later this week.
So at this rate, we're not looking to accept those improvements until maybe 2023? Because wouldn't you want to see?
It'll
make
likely
sure
be this,
everything-
I would hope that it's this fall. I know that, the summer months, particularly July and August, are not great for trying to restore lawns, and just not a great time. But we're actually entering the time now here. September is another ideal time, right, where you have cooler temperatures, more moisture, dew, just stays moist longer, and it's
Yeah.
easier to grow grass. And so our plan is that we would like to complete that, get restoration this fall, and accept improvements this fall.
Okay,
And it
'cause-
won't, our 2-year warranty period does not start until we accept the improvements. So we're likely getting like a 3-year warranty on most of the other components of the project.
I'd like to call point of order, just because we're not talking about that project. We're actually on the resolution 220872. Okay, so we do need a motion to approve The resolution receiving quotes and awarding a contract to Olson Sewer Service for the Helium Court and Faraday Avenue Storm Sewer Improvement in the amount of $96,813.02. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion to approve by member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Number 10, proclamation recognizing and commemorating the 32nd anniversary of the Americans with Disability Acts. Mr. Sachs, are you doing this one?
Yes, I am, Madam
Thank you.
Mayor. Thank you. So tonight before you, staff have a proclamation recognizing and commemorating the 32nd anniversary of the Americans with Disability Act, or ADA. It was passed on July 26th of 1990. Prior to the ADA, I mean, there was a lot of segregation, discrimination against people with disabilities. There's fear, ignorance, so the ADA kind of really helped mitigate that. It gave people equal opportunity from all aspects of, the world, with transportation, parks, technology, how we make our websites have to be ADA compatible. And so the ADA has really helped create that equality for people with disabilities. The City of Wyoming itself has affirmed this commitment to supporting people with disabilities with our partnership with the AARP, Age-Friendly Communities, as well as just forward-looking at how we're designing our parks for ADA compatibility, our facilities, and our website. So, we're pledging to continue this and support and implement the ADA as we look forward in the future. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Questions from council? Member Yeager?
No questions.
Member Schilling?
No questions.
Member Onstad?
No questions.
I have none either, so we need a motion to approve the proclamation recognizing and commemorating the 32nd anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act. I will make that first motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So approved. Number 11, to consider the donation and design of a sign for the Wyoming Library. Mr. Linwood, are you taking this?
I will take this, Mayor. Mayor, members of council, tonight you're reviewing an item that regarding with signage at the Wyoming Library. We have a local resident, Pat Rhinelander, and she had approached city staff with the idea of donating a sign for the south side of the Wyoming Library. The idea would be that the sign would be a wood-treated sign and professionally painted, similar to a barn quilt sign. Ms. Rhinelander has provided that rendering from that artist, and that is in your packet. It's made up of 4 different components representing Wyoming's heritage: a horse, a stagecoach, a railroad train, Old Highway 61, and the Chisago County symbol that identifies a railway and a star marking Wyoming's location. The city staff has reached out to the East Central Regional Library Director, and the signage was reviewed and given approval to move forward pending the approval of the Wyoming City Council. The other item tonight that the council should be aware of is that this would also require Chisago County approval as well, as it is a county-owned building. So if you were to consider approval of this tonight, it would need to go to the county for final approval. Like I said, the sign would be put on that south gable, approximately 5 by 5. And the only thing that staff had feedback on it would be the rendering there has an established 1868. We would ask that be changed to 1855, and there's an approximate scale in your packet that we tried to best do given the dimensions of the library and that signage. With that, I can stand for any questions. Or also, I believe that we do have one member that would like to speak on this in the public.
Yeah, we have Sherry Vincent, so let's, Sherry, do you want to come up and talk first before we discuss?
I'm meeting council tonight, so I could come, so, I think you all received the letter that I sent to you, outlining sort of the position that the Library Society is taking, let's say, regarding the sign, and we specifically called out 3 areas where we're certainly concerned and feel that it doesn't meet the merit of the sign, a couple of areas of the sign ordinance, which I've outlined for you there. One of them being the architectural, intent of the building, that it should match that. And then the other being the actual maintenance of this building, of the sign. So even though the county does in fact own the building, we in our joint powers agreement with the county are responsible for maintaining that. And so there's definitely a concern with who's gonna crawl up, 40 feet every 2 years and paint that sign. And with respect to the actual architectural intent of the sign, it really has nothing to do with the library. It is basically proclaiming what the city is about, which is a lovely thing. And I would like to also say the gift is a lovely thing. But we just don't feel that that is the proper place for it. And I believe that in my comments to you, I had even suggested that maybe we work with Ms. Rylander and find a place that might be more appropriate, for instance, and I'm not dictating anything, but, just perhaps in our railroad park master plan, where it actually is at a place where the public can see it, they can appreciate it and understand it. Where it's gonna currently go up in the gable up there, it's gonna be really difficult to even really figure out what it's all about. And so I just feel, in respect for her and her donation, that maybe there's also a better place for that as well. And then, following up on what Rob said, it is a county building, and they're gonna want to obviously weigh in on that because it is their building. So I'm trying to think what my third point was, it just went right by me, but do you have any questions about that for me at
We'll
all?
start with council. I have a whole bunch of questions, but we'll
Okay.
start with council. So let's start with Member Onstead.
I do have questions about this, but I don't know how to frame them. One of the questions I was going to ask was, this is a neat design. I would like to see that if we use it in one space, that we can use it elsewhere too, without any copyright infringements. And I'm guessing you're not the person to ask that,
No.
so.
But I could see that being applied to our water tower and things like that, that it becomes an identifier to the community. So, as I've said, it's not that we have an issue with, the sign or its messaging, it's just that messaging does not have anything to do with the library.
Other questions?
No,
Okay.
no more questions.
Member Yeager.
Okay, if this is a county building and the county board has to pass it, why is this before us in the first place?
I felt it was an appropriate spot to start since it is in our city. So
Okay.
we could bypass you if that would be more appropriate. We could just send this directly to the county and we could end that conversation tonight too, if that's what the council deems appropriate.
Because it seems to me that if, we could approve it and the county overrides us anyway. So,
You make a recommendation.
Okay. Commissioner Monska, what is the county policy for signs on their buildings?
We don't have any signs on any of our public buildings in the county, so it's unlikely that the board would want to change that without looking at the policy. I do think that there's a bit of an error in that the regional library director doesn't have a say on what's on the building. The regional library director is involved with what's inside the building. It's a really wonderful combination together. The city owns the land around the building, the county owns the building. The city is paying for maintaining it, the county is paying for the building, and we're still making payments. And then the regional library system is paying for the employees inside and the books and services. So certainly the county board's gonna wanna know, what this community thinks about that, before any decisions made. So
Okay.
I certainly don't in any way, I think it's appropriate to kind of know what you think, whether you vote or not, I certainly am listening. And I'm also listening to Ms. Vincent, because she was actually involved in designing the building, she actually worked with the architect. And she is an expert in design, she's an award-winning designer. So I think that's important. It is thank you, said too much.
Okay.
No, that's fine, that's
Okay.
fine.
Sorry.
Fred, does this comply with our sign ordinance?
Yeah, the side of that building could have a 200 square foot sign, it's only 25 square feet.
Okay.
Ms. Vincent's notes, the first one about architecture compatible, I'm not an arbiter of taste, but I would,
It's very subject.
yeah, it's very subjective, so I don't know how I would say this is not architecture compatible. Now, if you had a really old style building and they wanted neon, I can start to support it, otherwise part of it being maintenance, that's an issue with every sign that gets constructed. So who takes care of it, that would be something that would need to be addressed. But as far as meeting the sign ordinance, you know, as far as issuing a sign permit, that, the maintenance part comes later. I don't
Okay.
ask about that initially. But otherwise, yes, it would meet the sign ordinance requirements. If she came, if a permit was requested and it was able to issue it, I'd issue it.
Okay. Being that this is on the south side of a building, there would be sunlight, and I noticed we had other, like, Welcome to Wyoming signs that faded within a couple of years. Will this sign also fade as such? You don't know?
And I wouldn't know kind of, you know, what kind of paint they're, a little different on those signage. They were, you know, on metal. And I guess the updated ones are supposed to be better that now our Public Works has put up, but I would assume no matter how sun resistant the paint is, there's always gonna be some fading and wear and tear over time, just being out in the elements. You know, the duration of that, if it's 2 years, if it's 5 years, I don't know, but I'm sure there's wear and tear would happen.
Oh, I was just wondering if there was like a UV-resistant coating, much as when you get a picture framed, you can have UV-resistant glass put over
I
it.
think, example, the Wyoming sign on the freeway, that has UV resistant on it. I think that one's held up
Yeah,
fairly decent. Not to say there probably isn't somewhere, maybe it's not as bright as it originally was, but certainly there are those paints, there is UV, but I can't
Right, we
say
don't
for
know.
certain if we know what the duration would be on the amount of sunlight that hits it, et cetera.
because I'm sitting here, read Ms. Vincent's letter and looked at this. I mean, I think this is a lovely idea. I'd like to really be able to see the sign. If the library foundation has reservations, perhaps we find another place for it on one of our buildings. It could go on this building, it could go on the new public safety building. It could be put up someplace in a park, you know, when we do railroad. I mean, I would say, accept the sign and say that with the condition that it is put on city property.
Okay.
And I think that should, I mean, I don't want to insult Mrs. Rylander, and I don't want to insult Ms. Vincent and Ms. Sandridge and the rest of the Walls board. So I think that might be a good accommodation for both.
Okay. Member Schilling?
I think most of it has been covered. I was just curious because I used to, years ago, when I lived over in Lindstrom, because they have that one sign out on the front, I can never remember what it is, over at the Chisago Lakes Area Library. And I'm trying to find the identifier on it, but. What's that?
I was just, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I thought they had some, because my kids used to go there when they were really, really little as well. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I do like the idea. I just don't know if I necessarily, from the renderings, I don't like it on the library. I think it's great as far as representation for our community and what we are about and our history. I just don't necessarily, and again, it's not our building, so to me, it's kind of a non-issue for us to be discussing, I guess. So I'll leave it at that,
All right.
Mayor.
Thank you.
Yep.
I do think it's up to us to kind of talk about it because it is in our city.
Yeah.
So it's important that we have our views on that. Ms. Vincent, just a couple questions, reminders for me.
Sure.
As chairperson of the Wyoming Library Society, who was all the founding, you're the founding member, but who else was on that?
So B. Zaruba, Sandy Standridge, Stephanie Salzman, Dee Azevedo. Ben was also a founding member. And then we had some that came and went, but that was the core group of our committee. Yep.
Okay, so Commissioner Bonska was a
Mhm.
core member, okay. Okay, and
It was a long time ago.
well, I do, and I did bring up a picture, and I think that's you on here, and I know it's member Yeager as well. So I couldn't figure everybody out because it's so far away. So I did print
You
that
want me
out.
to tell you?
That was our happy volunteer day.
Yeah. Okay. So then with that question, I did look up the Wyoming Library Society. Are you still a nonprofit?
We have given up the nonprofit status now simply because we've spent down quite a bit of our funds and didn't feel that we needed to continue the nonprofit status.
Okay, because
Yeah.
it says 0 in 2013. So, and somewhere along the line, I read there was $84,000 and I don't know, but
No.
internet. But it did say in December of 2013 you were at
Yeah.
0. So I wasn't sure if it was still a nonprofit, if you guys were still an organization.
We are to a sense that we still do have some funds that, you know, we pay for the plantings that go in the containers out front on a seasonal basis. That's pretty much been our spending. We also had what was it been from the governor, from the money we got from the grant. So we had, yeah, from Elmer Anderson, we had a significant grant given to us as a Wyoming, not just the Wyoming Library, but all 3 libraries. And so we managed that account until last year. We dispersed all that and then split the funds between the 3 libraries so that their friends of the library could then manage it from here on out.
So the Friends of the Library is different than the Wyoming Library
Correct.
Associate or Society?
Yeah, so the Library Society, the whole impetus, not to go on forever, but
Yeah.
the whole reason for being is we were the group that, that spurred on the building of the library. So we were the group that got that going,
Yeah.
that worked with the county eventually. And then with the money that we raised, the bank, of course, gave a significant amount
Yeah.
of money. We spent $20,000 on collection. We bought the children's computers. We upgraded and had the fireplace put in and the granite countertops and did some of those things. And so the Friends, their whole group, and the reason for them is to work with the librarian on programming and things of that nature, which is why we did finally spend down that money or split out the money and dispersed it amongst the Friends so they
Okay.
could spend it.
So you guys no longer meet, Wyoming Library
We
Society
don't
no
have it,
longer
no,
meet?
we don't
Okay.
meet, no.
And when you guys were coming up with this design, it says here, you worked in terms of the train station, correct?
Right.
Is that,
Go ahead.
okay, no, so I'm just kind of reading that, and I've seen some renderings of the old train station. I don't know if this reminds me of that. That's all I was trying to
Sure.
kind of,
Well, if you go into the library,
Yeah.
the first thing that you will see as you enter the library is what the Historical Society put together on the train station. And so if you walk in and take a look at that, you're gonna see architectural inspiration from that. So the pitched roof, the open I-beams inside the library are certainly very indicative of it. The large glass, expensive glass. It's not meant to be a replica, it's meant to be inspirational from that.
okay, so more of the inside is like the train station than the outside?
No,
Just
the actual architectural makeup of it, because it had the pitched roof and all of
Yeah.
that. So
Okay,
that was definitely part of it, that rectilinear architecture.
yeah, okay, all right, thank you for that.
Sure.
I guess how I look at this is, I really like the different things that are on here because it really does represent Wyoming. The train, the stagecoach, Old Highway 61 is something that's been really big, that we've been promoting. So I like this sign. Personally, when I see this on the library, I like how that looks because it brings a little color to that building and kind of brings a little uniqueness, which we are trying to find. What is that uniqueness of Wyoming? We all know that we're a manufacturing city, right? And so I think that for me personally, this just brings some color. It does represent the stagecoach. You had the station and all that. That is represented on here. So I like it. Granted that we don't have the final decision, that it is gonna have to go up to the county. I know I'll be up at the county when you guys vote on that. Commissioner Matska?
I just wanted to clarify, in looking at the internet picture of the South Lakes Library, it looks like there's a post of a decorative design on basically a sign, posted not attached to the building but immediately in front of it. I'm not aware of the board ever approving that, and I don't think no one's trying to be sign police.
Okay.
But I just wanted to clarify to be accurate.
Okay. So there might be some precedent set then, that it's been put up from a city and not going to the board.
Yeah, I don't know who put that up, so I'd have to
Yeah,
look into that.
okay,
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's not, it doesn't appear to be attached to the building,
yeah,
given that the city owns the land. My
Mhm.
understanding is the That's the way it worked. This was a major thing. We had to get a new library branch in Wyoming. That happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago. It was a major event, and we got it done, and the city stood up and helped. Ms. Vincent's group was instrumental in bringing in a lot of private funds. The region did it, even though they had to increase their taxes to do it. The county stepped up. So it's an amazing deal, but certainly there's no, if you do want the sign in the board, you just don't want to start pressing putting signs on buildings, which I think they may do. You could always put it up like it was done in this one, where it's, near the building, and that would be something that'd be your call.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't know if Ms. Vincent's gonna appreciate that.
So,
Your legal
so,
rights.
I mean, I get it,
Okay, sorry.
Ms. Vincent, that this is, I mean, when it is something you've worked so hard and put a lot of time and energy into it, and Sandy as well, and, it is, it's one of those things, like I say, someday when I'm not mayor, and we've done all this stuff, I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, somebody's making other decisions, right? So I understand that emotion to that. So, Mr. White, can I ask a question, please? What property do we own, in the front of that building? So if we can put it on our own property,
I actually just got onto the website to take a look.
That's what I was just looking for.
yeah, is that something, I mean, Mrs. Rylander is very generous in donating this. I do think that this represents Wyoming, the design
And
itself.
I don't disagree whatsoever. I
Yeah.
think it's a really nice representation of our
Yeah.
community. It certainly is the iconography that, represents who we are. It's just having it on the library
library building
itself
itself, yeah.
really just doesn't support it.
Okay.
People are gonna ask why. And to be really fair, my emotions aren't part of this. I'm really trying to not be emotional
Yeah.
about it, because then it gets personal, and I
Right.
don't
Right.
plan to make it
Yeah.
personal. It's really
Yeah.
about, here are the ordinances,
Yeah.
and do we really wanna set precedents with having people donate signs to put on
Yeah.
our buildings in
Yeah.
our community? Those are the things I'm concerned
Yeah,
about.
no, I can totally understand that. And I'm thinking too, member Yeager's comment, my thought is, she's saying it could go in different buildings, well, then it's good enough for the library building too. So that's just my thought on that.
That's
But,
not my call.
Mr. Wack?
So the Chisago County GIS map has the land where the rain garden is in front. Basically from the sidewalk going north, so towards here, that's owned by the city of Wyoming
This
from
is
end
owned
to
by
end.
us. That's owned by the-
And then the building itself, the county has that, as the county owning all that land
Right.
adjacent to it.
So
It's on.
are you seeing a spot there that we could actually put this sign?
We could put it in the front yard, basically.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And I guess the question would be, is it really gonna be visible at that point? And not that I'm disputing having it there, but I don't know what all the intent was, but I'm assuming that because was being asked to go on the building, that it was gonna be visible from people coming and going. So, that would be something to, I guess, ask with the donator if that would be, an acceptable second, so that people can appreciate it,
So.
Okay, so,
Here,
go ahead.
They could be placed along 61 there, and
right there.
right now they have 25 square feet. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it could be much larger as a
Yeah.
freestanding sign if they wanted to. So it could be larger and be right alongside the road.
Okay, so what I would like to do is I'd like to table this until we can look a little bit further into if it can go somewhere on that land. And if Mrs. Rylander would be okay with that. So I would like to move that we table, get back to my, sorry. Item, agenda number 11, I'd like to table it until, do we want to give it 2 weeks, Mr. Linwood? Or do we want to go a month into,
I think do we want to check back with Ms. Rylander in regards to?
Yeah.
If because we'd be putting it on city property and not necessarily the county building.
Right,
Is what
yep.
you're,
yep, so so I'd like to table that, do we want 2 weeks?
Our next meeting would be 3 weeks from
3 weeks, okay,
yeah,
so
maybe
if we
an extra-
can.
an extra Tuesday.
Yeah, so I would like to move that we table the consideration of the donation and sign for the Wyoming Library. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by member Onstead. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. Thank you.
Thank you, and
Thank
thank you for
you.
all your comments, too. I
Yeah,
appreciate
well,
it.
and it helps that we kind of talk it through, right?
Right,
Because
and I'm
this
so
might
glad
be-
that my friend got COVID. I bless you, darling, but.
This,
But
you
that's
know,
why I got to
yeah,
come tonight. so.
that's great. Well, I think it's so important. This is a
I'm
big
not glad
thing,
she
so-
got it, I'm just glad I got it.
You're, right,
I
so,
got to get out of it.
yeah,
Thanks,
thank you
guys.
so much. We appreciate it. Okay.
All right.
my agenda. Okay. Number 12, to consider entering a closed session under Minnesota State Statute 13D-05, sub D3A for an annual performance evaluation of City Administrator Rob Linwood. I would like to also move this to table it until the next meeting when all members are present at a council meeting. Do we have discussion on that?
Well, I can just second, can we not?
That's fine if there's no discussion. Okay,
I
so.
think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay, so I move to approve. We have member Schilling as
second.
the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved. All right, we'll go with council reports. We'll start with member Schilling.
I have no reports. Thank you all for coming, and if you're watching, and we'll see you next time.
All right, member Onstad.
I attended the planning commission, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming by.
Thank you. And member Yeager.
I attended the sewer commission, and thank you all for coming, and thank you all for watching.
Perfect. And I attended the planning commission as well. And I just want to remind everybody that Stomp Out Suicide 5K is this coming Saturday. They are expecting between 1,200 and 1,500 people, which is super exciting for that event. There's still time to register. And I want to say thank you to our police and fire and to our staff that is always just so accommodating and take part in this event. So appreciate that. With that, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?